Should we believe in the Sixers as contenders anymore?
The answer is surprisingly yes, we should believe in them as contenders. Here's the thing you can't teach, you can't coach, whatever. Talent. The Sixers have talent, and it's in there somewhere. Now, the waters are rocky right now. It's choppy. And did their odds go up or down since before the season began? They've gone down in my estimation. But you cannot count them out. The real issue with the Sixers has not been Embiid, has not been Simmons. It's actually been Al Horford and Tobias Harris. Al Horford went from like the best player whose stats didn't tell you the whole story when you watched them. The more you watched them, the more you appreciated. The man could take the ball up the floor if he had to. He could pass, he could shoot, he could score, in the interior, he could post up, he could defend the rim, he could guard in space. Wow, you love this Swiss Army knife player, like, in a way, a kind of longer Draymond Green, right? Like, what? And what happened to Al Horford? Turns out the man's never played power forward before. You said, what? He looks like he could play, he's never played power forward before? Yeah, he literally hasn't. He's been awful, and they invested a whole bunch of money in him. Tobias Harris has been awful. They've been awful. Simmons and Embiid, as much as I've said, Simmons needs his own team so he can develop like the Greek freak, surround him with shooters and everything. Let's not get that twisted. That doesn't mean that Simmons and Embiid can't succeed together. Mm-hmm. I will remind everybody, Kawhi Leonard, having one of the greatest playoff stretches in the history of basketball, had to go around those two guys and hit a miracle corner three to get by them in Game 7.
Yeah. A win's a win, though.
Now, since then, is there issues here and there, whatever? Yeah. They just added a couple of shooters, and I want to tell you one other thing. They can't buy a win on the road, right? Yeah. Do you know what they are at home this year?
22. League's best record.
22-2. You know what that means? Hey, Sixers, go steal a game on the road. Yeah. You're live against anyone, any team, East or West. If they can steal a game on the road, they can win that series.
You know, Max, I got to disagree with you based on the first sentence you said. You said one word that I think is actually undermining the whole Sixers team. You said talent, and you focused on talent. And I think something that transcends one sport is talent actually isn't the most important thing. And I think we saw this last night. It's effort. It's effort and it's energy, and you got to be galvanized, and you have to be led by your best players. Your best players have to play their best. We saw Embiid and we saw Giannis. Mm-hmm. And when I was watching that game, and I'm not a sports expert like the basketball expert like the gentleman sitting up here to my right, but what I do know is this. Embiid kind of plays like he's full. Giannis plays like he's hungry. Like, Giannis plays like he still has something to prove every single time he touches a ball. And then you look at the stats, just to make sure my eyes weren't crazy, Roz, I had to look at the stats. Embiid's average shot was from 17 feet away from the basket. Mm-hmm. I'm like, ain't this dude 7'1"? Isn't he supposed to be the best big man we've seen since Shaq? And yet his average shot 17 feet away from the basket when Giannis's is only 11. What's the difference here? There's one play, though, that's stuck in my mind. Fourth quarter. Down by 15. Ben Simmons throws a pass to Embiid. It's a little bit off target. Embiid looks at the ball, looks at Simmons, and just mugs him like, hey, bruh, I'm not chasing that. Then, 2 possessions later, Giannis up by 14. Loose ball. He dives for it on the floor. So I'm like, I don't care how talented this Sixers team is because they are incredibly talented, but they have to be led by their best player. And right now,
they did better against the Clippers. The Raptors last year in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Then the Bucks did. Yeah. The Sixers did better than Kawhi and the Raptors. Then the Bucks did.
Well, they are contenders, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Joel Embiid is the second best player in the Eastern Conference behind Giannis. And right now, he is in the worst shape possible. And I could say that probably because of hand, he sat out, he's lost his conditioning, but he's going to get that conditioning back. And Jay will say this.
That's what I want to know.
It's going to take time. That's a real question. It's going to take time. I mean, he has to get in the gym. He has to do some extra stuff, and he's going to get it. It's going to translate into his mind. He has to get back in the gym. And he has to get back to work. But Jay knows this. Over an 82-game season, it's always like this. Mm-hmm. Always. And right now, they're at the low point. They can't win on the road. They got backbiting in the locker room. But something is going to happen during the course of the season that's going to make it click for those guys, and they're going to be right there.
Here's what confuses me, though. You said Embiid's the second best player in the East, and I'm only partial because I lived in Philly. I played sports in Philly when I was with the Eagles for that time, and so I really watched that team. Are you the second best player based off potential or based off production?
He's the second best player in the
things.
East in talent. He's not the second best player in the East.
Who is the second
There
best?
we
I would go Pascal Siakam. I think people really forgot about the Toronto Raptors. I think people have really been disrespectful. And obviously, I think Nick Nurse is one of the top 10 coaches in the league. Let me put off to this. We actually have the tape, because you brought up the moment. I actually have the tape, because I did it last night. A team is only as good as the effort of their best player.
Yep.
Right? Putting into words, and you could tell that Ben and Joel Embiid do not rock with each other. Like, watch the pause here. Like,
that's
watch
right
the
there.
pause. Watch the stare from Joel to Ben. Like, oh, you gonna throw that pass? And then Ben points at him like, yo, the loose ball is still in play. And here are the effort plays that you have by Giannis. Right now, they're up by 14 in this game. Watch Giannis dive on the floor for the loose ball. Right, up by 14. The effort of the best player dictates the tone of how their team plays. Then once again, on the fast break, Giannis is going to say, oh, we're still up by 10 or 11. No, you ain't going to get no easy chippies here, Ben. I'm going to foul you. I'm going to foul you and put you to the free throw line. So I will say this. I put a lot of the onus on Joel Embiid. I've been to games. I've sat courtside. I watched them play. I understand that Ben Simmons doesn't shoot the ball. And I think a little bit is that on Brett Brown actually holding Ben Simmons' feet to the fire, forcing him to be different. But I will say this. Every time I watch Ben Simmons play, he plays hard as hell.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.